This experience of mine happened in 2011. I went through a near-death experience, and I saw many things that will happen in the future. On September 3, 2011, my boyfriend and I were attending a class reunion. We had just finished college and were filled with anticipation and hope for the future. We knew that as time went on, such reunions would become less and less frequent, so many of our classmates showed up that day. That night, we met at a restaurant near the university. We shared with each other interesting stories from our college years, as well as our plans and dreams for the future. We encouraged each other to succeed in our respective paths in life. Before the party ended, we took a group photo, hoping to preserve the good memories forever. At around 12 p.m., our party was almost over. My boyfriend drank a lot of wine. Although I don't usually like him drinking, I didn't stop him, considering the special circumstances of the day. The students at the party suggested that we find a hotel room nearby and stay there. Although I didn't want to go home either, I knew my parents wouldn't approve of this. One of my classmates lives near my house, and he drove to the party. He offered to give us a ride home in his car. He said he had only had a little bit to drink and that it would not affect his driving ability. At first I refused, but my boyfriend seemed very hard to drive and it was late and cabs were not easy to get, so I agreed to his offer. I sat in the back seat, my heart feeling restless the whole time. I hoped we would get home safely. 20 minutes after we left, there was nothing dangerous going on. He kept talking to me, trying to distract me from my concerns and nervousness about the DUI. Although his reassurance had some effect, I still could not fully relax. Nearing home, my mood gradually became calmer. Suddenly, a car was approaching our vehicle so fast that we had no time to react. Then I heard a loud crash. The vehicle began to shake violently. After a while, I found myself surrounded by twisted and distorted metal and broken glass. My body felt intense pain. I looked desperately for my boyfriend. On the other side of the carriage, I saw him. After a while, I heard the sound of an ambulance. We were rushed to the hospital. When we arrived at the hospital, the doctor gave me some medicine and I gradually fell into a coma. The pain gradually decreased and my consciousness gradually blurred. In the coma, I seemed to be in an unreal world. I heard the doctor talking about my condition and that my pulse was starting to drop. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself out of my body, as if I had become an invisible observer. I walked through the walls of the operating room and then into the hospital storage room. The storage room was filled with neatly folded bed sheets and blankets. Then, I came to the hospital hallway. I saw my mother standing at the end of the hallway, her eyes red and swollen. My father was holding her hand tightly, trying to give her strength and comfort. I tried to get closer to them, to tell them I was here, but no matter how hard I tried, they couldn't seem to sense my presence. I was thinking that I needed to get back into my body as soon as possible. When I returned to the operating room, I saw the doctors working hard to resuscitate me. Just then, I noticed a tunnel appear above the operating table, which kept rotating in a clockwise direction. I was curious about what was inside that tunnel, so I went inside. The tunnel was pitch black, but wonderfully, I didn't feel afraid. On the contrary, a magical force surrounded me and made me feel very relieved. I didn't need to move on my own, a force pushed me forward through the tunnel. I felt myself going faster and faster. I saw a faint point of light appear in the distance. It emanated a soft glow. As I approached the glow, a warm energy filled my whole body. The light was brighter than the sun, but looking directly at it didn't hurt my eyes. It radiated a love that was stronger than anything I could imagine. So big that I can't describe it in words. When I came to the center of this light, I felt myself become one with the light. Here, I saw pieces of my past life. They were presented to me, allowing me to review my actions and choices. I can feel the impact, positive or negative, that my actions have had on others. I saw things that I thought were right, but from the perspective of others, I was wrong. Among these clips, there was one incident that I greatly regret. At that time, my friend asked me for help and he needed some financial support because he was in a difficult situation. I was in a position to help him, but out of selfishness, I chose to decline. I acted indifferently to his plight. I saw the look of frustration and disappointment on his face. He had trusted me so much and treated me as a friend he could rely on. This incident touched me deeply. I realized how selfish I had been. I felt ashamed of my indifference. I realized my mistake. True friendship is based on trust. My previous behavior lacked empathy and care, and I should have been more attentive to the needs of others. I saw the people I had hurt and felt their pain and confusion. I also saw the positive impact I brought to others. I see the support and help I give to others, the moments that make them feel warm and fuzzy. Here, I understood the meaning of life and the mystery of the universe. I learned how powerful love is and how it can change people's lives and make the world a better place. After it was over, I felt some tension. I thought the next step would be my judgment, and I couldn't be sure whether heaven or hell would greet me next. Suddenly, my mind was flooded with horrible images that kept flashing and I couldn't control them. I felt scared and confused, not knowing what these images represented. When it was finally over, I asked myself deep inside, what the hell was that? While I was confused, my brain picked up some information. A voice was telling me that I would be sent back to Earth, because my time had not yet come. I understood that I didn't have a choice. I had to go back to Earth. Through that tunnel, I went back to the hospital and re-entered my body. When I woke up, I saw my parents guarding my bedside. Later, my father told me that I was the only survivor of that accident. To save my life, the doctors had to perform open-heart surgery. During the operation, my heart stopped beating. I spent more than 2 long months in the hospital. When I returned home, I began to document what I had experienced. I wrote down everything I saw, and it became my unique testimony. I realized that I had a responsibility to share this experience with others and bring them enlightenment. One of the images that stood out to me was the collapse of the world economy. In this image, I saw various countries frantically printing money to try to cope with their economic woes. This printing of unlimited amounts of money has led to a global devaluation of currencies. I could feel the desperation and unease of the people. Also, the popularity of virtual currencies has contributed to this economic crisis. As the popularity and use of virtual currencies increased, the traditional monetary system suffered a serious impact. This has triggered chaos in the global financial order. I saw a plunge in stocks and a massive loss of wealth. People lost confidence in the financial system and the entire world was plunged into economic recession and social unrest. While virtual currencies have brought convenience and innovation in some ways, they can also be a ticking time bomb for the economic system. Next, I saw a war triggered by the economic collapse. This war quickly spread across the globe. Wars were fought between countries and within countries. The poor began to overthrow the elite by force, and the transfer of power became violent and violent. I saw riots breaking out all over the world, and no place was immune. City streets are filled with angry crowds. The riots led to a breakdown of social order. In this chaotic picture, I saw many people locked up in cages with barbed wire. These people had lost their freedom and were deprived of their basic human rights and dignity. I felt their despair and helplessness. And they became victims of the war. At the same time, I also saw the large number of refugees emerging from many cities. They have lost their homes and are looking for a chance to survive everywhere. This series of images was heartbreaking and heavy. These are the images I have seen with my own eyes. In the past, I chose to remain silent because I feared that others would see me as crazy. I also understand that these descriptions may be biased, so I try to be as accurate as possible in describing this experience. I did not know when these things would happen. These images are very shocking to me. I know that the future is complex and fluid, and it is impossible to predict exactly what will happen in the future. Everyone's perspective and experience is unique, and our views of the future may differ. But I hope that people will treat my experiences with respect, even though they may be beyond common understanding and perception.